Welcome to the Bookworm Bindery with Cathy-Lynn. This is part number 5 of the Mermaid Junk Journal saga. We're going to call it a saga now because that's a good word. So we're going to start off with making, I'm going to take these faux stamps that I printed off. And I'm going to use a pair of fancy scissors, and I'm going to cut them so that it looks like it's the edge of actual stamps. Now, it is true that I'm actually doing this, seemingly backward. They're not the best scissors in the world. They don't necessarily like to cut all the way through. The reason that I'm cutting them with this edge against where I want it cut versus this edge is because this is a scallop. And if you cut it with this edge towards the stamp itself, or the faux stamp in this case, it's going to give me not a scallop like you think of a scallop, but the pointed ends out. And I have no problem tearing those because stamps always get torn. So when it doesn't cut all the way through, I just pull it off. I already did one, so now I'm just doing these other. The stamps themselves were printed with a scallopy edge. I don't know if they thought I was going to sit there with a pair of scissors and try to copy that out, fussy cut it all. If that's what they thought, it was nuts. My guess is they just thought you'd cut it out around it and it would look nice enough. But this, because I have these little fancy scissors, this works by actually giving me that scallopy pointed edge that looks like the stamps have been pulled apart. Okay, now I'm going to get all these pieces out of the way because there is no way I'm keeping those. I actually have an elaborate system for getting rid of odds and ends. I have trash for little bits and pieces and things that are actually trash, and then I have a recycling bag for papers and recyclable plastics, and then I have a bag for non-recyclable plastics because we have a program here in the old Pueblo that takes your non-recyclable plastics and reuses them. So we have participated in this program since the beginning, where they had us testing it out to see whether this is something we would actually end up doing. So I'm looking at colors, and I went ahead and just took interesting bits from the fabric that covered the journal. So this was kind of out of the leftovers, and I pulled aquatic scene, a little seahorse head, seashells, and a bit of coral. And this was a project, by the way, that I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right, but I think it's Joanna or Jana or Yana, not sure, from and this one's going to be too good too, Menhilmina Digitals. She is the creator who is doing the 365 days of ephemera on, I see it on YouTube, so the shorts. And this particular project came from day 148. If you haven't been following her little 1-minute shorts every day, go check them out. She's done some really cute things, and I highly recommend it. I've done several of her projects, done them along with her and just picked things up. Like when I went back, because I didn't discover at the very beginning of the year. So I'm going to ink my edges in green, and I'm not using the same materials that she used in her, but I'm using things similar. Much the same feel. She actually made her own tags, but I have a bunch of tags. Honestly, I don't know whether these were tags we picked up to do a yard sale with, or whether they were tags that I picked up maybe from my shop, although I usually use smaller tags than this in my shop, so that's probably not it. Anyway, she made hers. Very clever. I just have some to be used up. Now, I do want these to look a little bit more like real stamps. We are going to do another project with real stamps, but let me put you on pause and grab my stamps that look like they've been, these postage stamps have been postmarked. So let me get those and I'll be right back. Okay, that didn't take too long, and I know for you it didn't seem to take any length of time at all. So what I'm going to do here is grab off, let's see, I can find my, yeah, right, my paper that I can stencil on. Here's a piece. It'll do. Okay, so I'm gonna lay my stamps out, and let's start with, because these are all being clamped together, they all get put together on a bulb pin. And when Jonah did this, or Yona, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your name. She put 4 on this pin. I tried 3, it was okay. I tried 5, they were too many. I went with 3. I'm like, wow, she knows exactly what she's doing. Good job. So I'm not going to do a quick test, which I often do, because it's a stamp, and you know that they're never really great. And they're often misstamped, or sometimes stamped more than once. So, let's just, I don't know, I think by now this thing is not wet anymore. So I'm going to take this straw in my cup, which is sitting right next to me, and get my cleaning pad. Yeah, it didn't really wipe off. So this is the Ranger Archival ink, acid-free, permanent waterproof in jet black. So you have to clean your stamps off with, you know, the special cleaner, which I have, and occasionally I actually use it, but not so often. Actually, on the kitchen counter right now, there is a whole stack of stencils waiting to be cleaned, so I can always just add these to that and, you know, clean them all at once. Yeah, that's what I was waiting for. Sure. Right, if you believe that. Okay. Let's see. I don't know where its little plastic covery went. Oh, it's right here. Okay, and then, oh, this is good. It volunteered. So let's put this one on. And we'll do across the lighthouse. I'm sure that lighthouse is warning ships away from the rocks that the mermaids sit on. That's working on the justification. It's good. It's good. And let's see. How about just a nice generic set of wavy lines. It's nice and long, and this little fish stamp here was kind of long, so okay. That's right. I did that even though I kind of feel like it wasn't helping. Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. So now those have all been postmarked. Not by an official office of anybody's post office, but by the unofficial Cathy's post office. Okay, got those set aside. And I have this really cool stuff. It comes as, it looks like a trim like this, and then you can pull it apart, and you know, it's sort of fish netty-y kind of effect. So this is what's happening. We're going to take our glue. This is our Fabrifix in our Sugar Bell bottle with its, you know, it's meant for cake decorating, so it's got its writing tip. I think in another video I was telling you I couldn't tell if it was a 3 or a 4, but upon further inspection I'm pretty sure that that's actually a 3. And what I'm going to do, because this netting is a net and very porous, I'm going to lay the glue out, and I'm going to put this out. I don't know if I want it to be this long, but it's this long right now. And then I'm going to lay a piece of fabric over it, kind of based on maybe the glue will be enough to go through the net and hold the fabric down. And then that's maybe, but I'm not holding my breath. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit, at least out here. I can always go back and add dabs as I go along. Okay, so there's that. Yeah, this feels a little long. So this is a wire mesh, but you know what? There are scissor sharpening places in the world, and these feel a little bit light and clumsy. That was a sudden change of subject, wasn't it? Anyway, so at the point that my scissors seem a little bit dull because I'm cutting inappropriate things, I will go have them sharpened. It's a great thing, scissor sharpeners. So when people are like, you know, maybe wire's not great, this is really fine, so maybe thicker wire wouldn't be a good idea, but for right here and now, this will be fine. Okay, I am thinking that the back of these stamps, I want to put a backing on these stamps. That's what I'm trying to say. And so I'm going to grab this piece of really thin chipboard, and I'm just going to glue these on. And then I'm going to have those little scallops. So you know what? I am going to cut little squares out that are smaller than that. They'll stick off a little bit, but it'll be enough to at least make me feel better about the status of my kind of flimsy stamps. Yeah, I can do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it just a little bit smaller this way, and then a little bit smaller this way, so that when I glue it on here, it doesn't show. And if it shows a little bit, I don't care. But that will give that a little bit more strength. Because I'm putting it on top of that silver mesh and a piece of fabric, I think I'd just be happier if it was stabilized. Plus, it adds nicely to the weight and the feel of things. And as you'll see, as we get a little bit farther along, these are going to dangle off of this pin, and that means they're going to move around, and I would like that, therefore, not to be too Too delicate. We just don't need that. Okay. Now, in the video, if you've seen it, or if you go and see it, she then added buttons, which I thought was really cute. And I actually made one to put in my red, white, and blue journal. I have a set of these kind of hanging off one of the lace pieces, an edge. And I felt like for this particular setup, I should go with pearls. So I have some flat back pearls here, which of course want to lay down, not on their flat side. So I'll do what I can. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and with the good old-fashioned lick the finger to get it wet and then pick up the jewel with it. I'm going to put this little flat back pearl here and hope that the dollop of glue I put in was enough to keep the pearls in place. So that is the first one. And in case you haven't played with these, do not be fooled. This point, incredibly sharp. Crazy sharp. So well, I probably can leave it not open, but see, it dangles nicely. We may go back and put a little color on the back side of these as I finish things up. But I do like that little shot of green that's coming out the back. Doesn't need to be a lot. Barely shows here, but I like it. So when you're doing things like this, you're just really creating some depth, and your eye just keeps seeing things a little farther and a little farther back, and it keeps what you're doing interesting because there's multiple layers. Stretch that out. And I'm just pretending that this is, you know, beautiful silver metallic fishing lace. Yeah, that's what it is. Because I'm sure lots of sailors and fishermen like glimmery stuff. Let's put a seashell on it. That's kind of big. Let's cut her down. But of course I already had a wonderful set of fuzzies. Oh well. Okay, I want you to show. I actually do. So, doesn't show as much as the other one. Variety is a good thing. Okay. Now this is just a little bit shorter, so now I need to make it just a little bit narrower. Okay. It's probably a little overkill for some paper. That's all right. It'll be fine. And then, I think if we sit it over here, you'll still get the feel of the shell. How about down here? Yeah. I don't want to lose the seashell. This probably could have handled having a bigger tag. That's okay. At some point or other, probably in my intro, when you first go to my channel, talks about how I come from a family of sewists and rug makers. Well, I just think it says rug makers, but my great-grandmother made rag rugs on a full-out loom that, you know, was beautiful and huge. I never saw it, but I would listen to my mom describe it. And then I started making rag rugs at some point, and the method that I use in my rag rugs is called twining, and it's done on a frame, not a loom. And it turns out to be a 3-ply rug. So you use, I don't know, it really depends on the fabric, but somewhere in the range of an inch to 1 3/4 inches wide strips of fabric. Okay, this isn't working very well. And you warp the frame. There's nails at the top and the bottom of the frame, and you warp the sewn together strips of fabric, and then you take much the same size strips, and that's what you weave with, and you use 2 pieces, you know, two strips of fabric, and you twine them around themselves and the warp, and it makes these wonderful heavy-duty rugs. And we have this saying in my household of, you know, you're looking at something, you're like, oh, I'm not sure I like the colors together, or oh, I'm not sure that's quite even, or and then we look and we say, ah, they're just rag rugs. It's okay. It's just a rag rug. Things like that. And so when we're doing our junk journals, we can say much the same thing with total effectiveness, because we're taking the odds and ends. I don't even know where I got this silver stuff. I think it was in a bag of trims and odds and ends of things that I picked up at our neighborhood community yard sale up at Terra del Sol Pool. And I was like, oh, you know, honestly, I just thought it was, let me show it to you again. I thought it was just a narrow silver trim. And when I was going through looking for something to put here, I saw that and I was like, oh, I could put a couple of those, you know, rows of that side by side. And then I picked it up and it kind of stretched a little bit. And I was like, this is even better than I could have hoped for. If I'd have gone off shopping, I don't think I could have gotten something as good as this. This is still just a little too big. So, you know, I am going to trim it. And then let's get some of these threads off. I promise when I'm scooping them off or brushing them off, I'm not throwing them on the floor. Not that some of them may not land on the floor or be dug out of the trash by cats and be put on the floor, but it's not where I'm putting them. Okay, there, that looks good. This is something that probably could be done with glue gun as well. But I don't keep the glue gun on my desk, so it's just as easy to grab the liquid glue and use it. Ta-da. Okay, so we have that. Could have made that a little bit longer. I felt like the first one was a little too long, and then the second one was definitely too short. And we'll pull some of that out there and it'll stand out. We'll be able to see it. That's cool. I like it with that coral. And let's go with this fish. That's good. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm just pulling it down so that this sticks off the edge a little more than I want it to. And then I'm cutting it carefully not to cut off the points that I was so careful to curate. Okay. This project has taken me 25 minutes to work on. Well, okay. I do try to keep these at about 30 minutes. I guess if this is how far we get done, this is how far we get done. Okay, that's cute. I'll stick it right about here. Okay. Good. I think it's a parrotfish. I don't know why that's important one way or the other. I just looked at it and said, I think it's a parrotfish. Okay, so there's that. Give or take a little bit of slide it up if we can. Okay, we got that. And maybe today, not today, just this time, maybe we'll just put one pearl on. These are really pretty. They have a really lovely, rather than just kind of the traditional white pearlescence, it has almost the abalone multicolors that you see. So I'd like that to dry a bit. Okay, now let's look at this guy. He's long, and he doesn't need to be this long. I could cut him down a little bit without cutting his cute little nose. And do a little bit of fray. Good. Okay. Apparently at some point I just pulled those little pieces. Okay. So now we'll just go for broke and we'll cut another one that's too long. It'll probably turn out just right. That's what we want. Of course, but I'm not measuring, so I have no idea what just right actually is. There we go. I think we'll bring it across the top. Okay. Here we go. Let's see if we can mush that down. A bit of an angle. Ha! A bit of an angle. I think we're going to turn it and make it go more this way. That way my netting will show. Not as much on this end. It doesn't have to be the same. There. Okay. Then our stamp has a porpoise on it. And at the point that I put this over the top of my seahorse, I'm going to lose some of my seahorse. But that's okay. I'll know it's there. How does that look? Still too wide. Okay. Not too worried about straight. That'll do. Okay. All right. That's for the stamp. And then if I throw this up here, you can see his eyes, a little bit of his crest, his nose. Okay, we'll do that. How much of it sticks off a little bit, so we will be kind of careful. Okay. So we do want variety. We want things to look Similar, but not the same. Okay. I have the fans on. It's really, really hot. It is about 8 o'clock at night. And according to my phone, it's dropped down to 90 degrees, and that's nice. I think it was 104 today. But a storm came through a little while ago. Did not drop rain on me. It may have over the Cathy-Lynn mountains. And maybe into parts of town. But I don't think it did here. Alright. You know what? I think... I don't like that. It's just one. I'll put another one here. We can pretend that it's the seahorse snorting bubbles. Although they don't really do that. They're not air breathers. Okay, there's that. Now, let's plug this up so it doesn't dry out. Anyways, it's been really hot, and yes, it's more humid today, but I've got the fans on. You probably can hear that kind of quiet. It's kind of a high-pitched whine. Sorry about that. And it dries my glue out. Okay, so the third one is going on. And I'm going to go ahead and put the fourth one on because it will be on top. So if any of its glue is still drying, it won't get sandwiched in. Close that baby up. And then here you are. So the first one that I did make with real stamps. I did it all with American stamps. And I think so. Anyways, I did it with all red, white, and blue stamps. And it was really cute. And it's kind of a bulky little thing. It goes nicely on the spine, or if you have ruffles or lace on the edge of a page, it can be clipped on and hang off. Let's pull this book out. So I don't have lace on anything, but if I did, it could be clipped in there. It could also be clipped into the threads on the spine. I did not get the ring put in here, and to do that once you have your signatures in is a bit of a challenge. We're going to call it a challenge. I will get that done, and it will be finished for the next video. I thought I would get more done than this in one video, but I didn't. So, just to keep the excitement alive, I'm going to be doing a page edge. Cut this down a little bit. This was one of the designs on the fabric. I cut it out, mounted it on a piece of paper, and I'm going to work it into here and make a page edge. And then I'm going to use one of these to do a corner a diagonal corner tuck. And I think the plan for this one is to do a collage. And then I've got some pockets, and oh, this shell is stunning. I don't know, it's got big names, but it's found, it says here, off of northeastern Australia and then through Central Pacific and Indian Oceans. I just thought it was stunning, and I think it'll be beautiful as a page edge in another section. So that's what's coming up next. Don't forget to hit the little thumbs up, and go back and check out the previous parts, part 1, 2, 3, and 4A and 4B, because I, at this point, have probably not gotten them mushed together. Spliced, that's the technical word. So thank you very much for playing. Come back, see the next one, and I will show you what's going on then. Have fun.